Hey YouTube, I'm Jerry Lowlife, and welcome to another episode of the entertainment industry.
Hey guys, what's going on? I appreciate your continued support and checking out the videos. Thank you so much. This is kind of a special video for me. It was an interview with Jason Voth. You know how you have kind of those local bands that have been around for a long time that have done a ton of things, people that have been in many projects locally. Well, this is one of them. Jason Voth is a very talented local musician. He's been in multiple bands. He's been a good brother and friend for a long time. And on my show, I want you guys to know you can't be too big and you can't be too small to be on my show. I want everybody. So I just want to provide you guys insights on many perspectives. This was a great one because Jason's been around the scene for a long time here in Oklahoma City. So I thought, I wanted to give him a chance and have him kind of talk about his career in the music industry itself. So I appreciate all you guys again. Thank you so much for your support. I'll have more information at the video. So enjoy the video. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Jason, what's going on, man? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I am doing super fantastic as always. Thanks so much for taking your time out of your day to be on my show, man.
Oh yeah.
So I believe we met. It was back when I was with Lowlife. I met you when you were in 6 Years Dead. I've had some freaking great shows, even with my other band when I was with Phoenix Syndrome. I will particularly never forget a specific show we did at the Diamond, and it was killer. There was so many people there. Like, that was probably one of the best local shows I got to play in my career. It was so awesome. I'll never forget it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the January 19th show. I think it was like 2007.
Yeah, that sounds about
I think
right.
there was a huge ice storm right before that, and
Right.
I was,
Yep.
it didn't get canceled, but yeah, I remember that show.
Yeah, that was an amazing show.
It was.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there was like 900 and something people there that night.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, it's a big room to fill. It's a 2,400 capacity. So
Yeah, it was awesome. I remember that night.
Absolutely. What was probably one of your biggest influences? What made you want to play music? Was there like a few things?
No, hands down, Motley Crew.
Motley Crew was your biggest influence?
The Shout at the Devil album, yep.
Okay. Was
Hook,
there...
line, and sinker.
Okay, that's awesome. Was it did you hear it like on the radio, or was it something that like someone had, or how did you get a hold of that?
It was a Looks That Kill video.
Okay.
I actually have that white BC Rich. I just bought it like not very long ago because I was just mesmerized by Mick Martin, that guitar he plays in that video.
Nice.
I think it's a white Warlock. I was like, man, I finally broke down and bought one. It's not the exact one, but it's white, and it's
okay.
What is it? A Warlock Extreme. But yeah, them guys. And then it kind of, because Rodney, he's a few years older than me, so he always, I remember him listening to like Venom and Metallica, and I was like, man, that stuff, I was scared of it at first. And yeah, because he was like, man, you need to quit listening to that stuff. This stuff's way harder. And yeah, eventually went on to that, and then the whole death metal thing hit, and then I started Intestinal Disorder. Played in that band for like, I don't know, 8 years. We did a lot of cool stuff in that band. That was long time ago, early 90s.
Okay.
And then 6 years dead and scarred and reduced to nothing. And oh man, there's
Yeah,
a lot of,
I was gonna say you've been in quite a few different projects, you know, even
yeah.
since I've known you. It's I'm like, I look around, I'm like, I like show up to some show and I'm like hanging out. I'm like, what? Jason's on stage with what band is this? And it's like I go to another show and I'm like, you're with a different band. I'm like, dude, you one band you're just playing guitar, another you're like singing in. Like, I'm like, dude, what's going on? This is crazy. This is awesome. So,
Yeah. I started playing bass in Archon too about 6 months ago.
oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Wow. Yeah, so yeah, you're getting around, man. That's pretty
I
awesome.
know. Music core.
There ain't nothing wrong with that. Have you know, not talking bad about Motley Crue or anything, but have you seen any of the latest videos that they had? You know, like where they're like you can't understand some of the words that he's saying.
I know.
The memes.
And in his defense, he was doing that back in the day when he was skinny and young too.
Right,
so
right. Well, it's
he
like
just runs around too much, man. And I mean, that's hard to do.
yeah,
It's like you're up there running a marathon and trying to sing. You got to pick one or the other, dude. Like,
right. Yeah. And it's like, you know, their fans would be like, you know, they were going to try to get someone different, and that'd be hard to do, is have someone else sing the songs. And then, you know, but then when they get him and he gets up there and he starts singing, they're just like, they're angry about that too. And it's like, guys, what do you want? You know what I mean? You're watching the original Motley Crue, like, you know, hang out, have a good time, whatever, you know?
yeah. I remember when the first time I ever seen them, I was walking around. You know how the Myriad has the hallway that goes around the whole outside of the.
Yeah.
I was walking around those halls after the concert, and Nikki Sixx like comes walking out of the side door, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like 16.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh my god!" I started following him and talking to him, and he's talking to me. I remember his nose was real big. I was like, "Damn!" That like threw me off because you know. In all his pictures, you couldn't really tell, but he has a huge nose.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember that. And he walked across that hallway and through another door into like the parking garage. And I'm sitting there talking to him. Next thing you know, I'm like on the ground, and these two security guys just like punked me on the ground. And he kind of laughed, dude, and just kept walking. And at the time, I was like, I just met Nikki Sixx, but now I look at it, I'm like, man, if somebody would have done that to somebody, you know, that supported me and my music, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of messed up that he didn't even say nothing to them guys or nothing.
Wow.
He just, yeah, I know. I was like, that was kind of shitty.
Yeah.
At the time, though, I was like, I'm never washing my hands. 16-year-old, yeah, it was awesome though.
So I got kind of a story about the Myriad myself. So when you were like, you know how it goes all the way around. So I went to a concert that I wanted to go see, but I was like, man, I'm going to try to sneak in there. And so I did one of those. So they had payphones, you know, that you could go to that were up against the wall. And I went in there and I acted like I was on a phone call. And I sat there like that until like they shut the like little barricades and stuff. And and security would just walk past me. They're not going to bug me because I'm on the phone. You know what I mean? They're just like not even asking me for credentials or nothing. They're just walking past, you know, and I just kept acting like I was on the phone for like an hour or 2 hours until they shut the doors and I was backstage. So this was at the Pantera reinventing the Still tour.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was like, dude, I'm going to meet Vinny and I'm going to meet Dime and all this stuff. And so like, I went back there and I act like I was on the phone, dude. I was just like, okay, I was so nervous, man. And when they shut the doors, like, I was like, oh my God, I'm back here. This is so awesome. And like, I hung up the phone and was walking around and I got to meet, I met Vinny and met Dime for the first time. Like, it was freaking awesome. I just like walked back there, dude. It was crazy. but
That's awesome.
yeah, it was pretty badass. But yeah, that's my little story about the Myriad. Aside from music, do you have any hobbies or interest outside of it?
I like traveling, taking fishing. Like I'm in Medicine Park right now in Lawton. Just little, I just like getting away, man, and doing my own thing and getting out of the city. And I don't know if you ever met Medicine Park's pretty cool. It's just like a little spot, man, with mountains around us. I'm gonna fish this river here probably this evening.
Awesome. Yeah,
'Cause we
and
got an Airbnb and it backs right up to the river, so I can walk right down there and throw a line in and see what happens.
wow, super cool. And
Yeah,
everybody, for anyone that doesn't know about where Jason's talking about, it's pretty much the southwest corner, not very southwest, but southwest of Oklahoma. And we actually have, I guess you could call them mountains. We have Quartz Mountain out there. It's more like a huge hill, but it's a beautiful place out there. There's a lot of cool places to go, like hiking, and you can go camping, go fishing and stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. It's a beautiful place out there. I always liked it out there. So if you were to give someone advice, you know, in the music industry, what are strengths do you have that you believe make you a good musician? What are your strengths?
and dedication. Can't get caught up in drugs and shit like that. You got to find the right people. That's for sure. Because I don't like wasting my time, and that's happened a lot. I mean, it always happens with a lot of bands. You know, it's like being married to 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
You know, having 4 or 5 different girlfriends. It's really like that. I mean, it's hard, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm been very fortunate to be in that many bands. But what's funny about it is out of all the bands, there's like 9 of us, and we all get along. And it's different members in different bands, but none of the bands sound the same. So we got lucky there too. But I feel like I've been extremely lucky because I know musicians that they want to play so bad, but it's finding the right people to do it. That's the hard part
Yeah.
because they'll get a group of guys and almost get to where they can play shows, and then these 2 guys will fucking do whatever, start acting stupid or whatever it is,
Right.
and then they're looking for people again. So it's like so I've been really lucky there.
Well, and it comes down to where you could have amazing musicians in a room together and they could definitely write together, but if they can't get along, it doesn't matter how good you are, you know.
It just don't work.
You gotta make it like family, because it pretty much is, like you said, a marriage. And because you're in a room, you're writing, you're collaborating, you're on stage, you're doing a ton of things where you're like constantly together, so it's definitely got to be like a family for sure, and that's definitely right, Jason. So what is it about music that makes you feel passionate? So what brings the passion out in music for you? What's what's the passion behind it?
Life, man. With me, it's life. I've had a pretty crazy fucking life, so I always have stuff to write about. Always.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. That's what I use. I mean, and I'm obsessed with it, dude. Like if I'm not doing it, I'm not very happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even. I mean, getting signed and big and all that shit's been out of my mind for a long time. And to me, it's funner that way when you don't have when you're just doing it because you love to do it.
Right.
Uh, it's a lot more fun to me. It is because you
Yeah.
don't expect anything out of it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of goes back to that whole thing where I think when people join music and they do music and they want to be in a band and they want to tour for all the wrong reasons. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to see through that. You know, it's good to be yourself and be honest to yourself, because it'll show. It will show that you're not being passionate or being that person on stage, and having those things, you know, like you said, you know, music is kind of a perfect drug for people, you know, because it's not harming yourself and it's not harming anyone around you. And it's kind of like therapy for a lot of people, you know, so I can relate to that big time.
It most definitely is.
Right.
And I don't know, this little thing, like we opened, it was Sepultura, Crowbar, and Sacred Reich. It was a few months ago at the Diamond, and we got to open that show, and it was cool because Sacred Reich talked about us during their sets. Sepultura, I got to talk with the singer for Sacred Reich for like 45 minutes after we played, and I don't know, that blew me away, man. I've been watching them guys. You know, all those bands are phenomenal in my eyes. I love every single. I mean, it was not the Max Cavalera Sepultura, but it was still cool that they took time out of their set to talk about us. So that was really fucking cool. Like, I was like, wow, that's awesome.
That's huge. That's really cool. That is awesome. You know, it's even if it wasn't with Max that we're talking about, Sepultura was probably one of my biggest influences ever, because when I was younger, my parents didn't have MTV. So I'd be at my grandmother's and she had MTV. And the first time I ever started watching Headbangers Ball, it was Sepultura. It was War for Territory. It was the first like heavy song I ever saw. And I was like, the minute I saw that song, I was like hooked. Like, it's over. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, let's go, man. I want to listen to heavier music. So, you know,
Max has always been one of my big influence. I mean, as far as playing guitar and singing, I always wanted to be like him. Like, I don't want to be a lead guitar player. I can do it, but I always loved when he would take the bottom two strings off his guitar. He would just play the top four and leave the other two off.
Right.
Awesome. I'm like, I feel the same way, Max. I feel the same way. I just want to be the rhythm guy.
Yeah.
Write the cool crushing rhythms, and never really had a desire to be like a badass lead guitarist.
I mean, you can't go wrong with rhythm, man. Freaking, you know, you're talking to a drummer. So I'm like, I love that groove, dude. Groove was the biggest thing to me. Like, I love groove. Describe your favorite and least favorite part about being a musician.
My favorite part is just the reaction when you're playing, the reaction on people's faces, just, you know, when you know that you're like getting into someone's soul, when they're like really feeling what you're doing. The least thing I hate about it is loading up equipment and taking it there and unloading it and all that shit. I hate that part.
Right.
I don't like it at all.
Right. Yeah.
Load ins at 4, but you don't get to, you know, load ins at 4 o'clock, and basically you're standing around until you play, pretty much.
Yeah.
I hate that part because you get tired, man. You're like, man, the cool part is you get to see a lot of the, like, you know, when we play with Sepultura, we got to see them sound check and all that. That part's cool, but sitting around for hours and hours on end, that sucks. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's the waiting game, big time.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a few people I've talked to, had an interview that was not too long ago with buddy Drew of mine, and he's from Scotland, and they just did a festival not too long ago, and he was talking about how you know, they have to drive that whole time, and then they get there, and then they got to set everything up, and it's like, you know, then by the time you get on stage, you're just you're fatigued in a way, but you're still pumped to be there. But that whole time you're just like, man, you're anxious, you're tired, you're kind of like, you want to get up there. So yeah, it's tough, man. The travel and all that kind of stuff and loading and all that. If you could take all that out of the equation, it would be like a perfect world,
Yeah, you definitely have to love it. That's for sure, because it is work. It is a lot of work. The practicing, the everything, it's a lot of money too.
Yeah,
involved buying stuff. Nothing's cheap. If you want it to sound good, anyway.
Definitely got to have some passion for it, for sure. Let's talk about your projects. So currently, what are the active projects you're in right now?
Man, right now I'm not doing anything right now. We just been taking a break.
Okay.
They just put out that new Long Pig album, which, our drummer, he passed away right after he did his drum tracks. So that band's not active. We got to find a drummer that fits, So, I mean, that takes time. And then Will Graham Brown, we just got done recording that.
Okay.
And we just been taking a break, and I haven't done anything like rehearsed or anything in like 2 months.
Okay.
But the break's been pretty awesome, man, because I've been going pretty hard for the last over a year now, recording and practicing and going to work and playing shows. And yeah, I just kind of overexerted myself, I guess.
Right.
So the break's been nice. But after this weekend, I'm going to get with Jeremy. What's up, Jeremy? He's in here. That's the guy that records all my stuff.
Okay.
If you're in a band and you're in Oklahoma City and you need to record, and that guy, man, he puts out some quality work, and he doesn't hit you over the head over price either, unless you go in there unprepared. You go in there and you can't play to a click or whatever it may be. But if you go in there and you're professional and you're ready to be in there and do it, he's pretty reasonable on price, and he'll make it sound really, really good.
Nice. And that's Uppercut Productions, correct?
Yeah, that's okay. Uppercut. That's Jeremy Waller.
Oh yeah, right on. Well, Jeremy, big shout out to Uppercut Productions. You heard it from Jason. If you're here in Oklahoma City, you're looking for someone that's going to be there for you and have your back, and get some good recordings for you, go ahead and hit up Uppercut Productions there. So
yeah, I'm gonna hit you up here this next week, Jeremy, and get with you on coming out there and finishing the final mixes on the Will Graham Brown stuff, and I'll owe him some money too.
Right on.
I'll get you that money too, cash out. No.
Right on. And again, I don't think I got to really tell you this face to face, Jason, but my heart goes out to you, man, and I'm sorry for your loss. And I know that was huge, I mean, from the times I knew him and the times I had a chance to talk to him, he was always really, really super cool, so
yeah, he was an awesome drummer too, fun to play with.
That's rough, man. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for anyone that was involved with them. I'm sorry for you guys' loss, for sure.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, that was out of left field for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like just waking up one day and just because I feel like we were hanging out not too long. I can't remember the name of the venue we were at, but we were like kind of outside all hanging out. It was on the south side.
It's
Out by itself.
Yeah, on Eastern.
Yes, exactly.
But
we were hanging out there, and it was just like not too long after. I think it was like not even a week or two after that, like is when he passed away. And I was just like, dude, we were just hanging out, man. Like this is crazy. Like,
yeah, that's wild, man. It is. Yeah, it's wild. And he knew something was wrong. He just, was putting off going and getting checked out, and I don't know.
Man,
I kept telling him, you need to go do that. Oh, I know.
Yeah, you got to get that stuff checked out, man. Like,
Yeah.
Like even with me, I took those things and those signs, man. And, I don't really talk about too much publicly about what's going on with me, but I was having heart issues and all kinds of stuff. And so it scared me enough to where I'm like, dude, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm going to quit smoking, vaping, all that stuff. Like I quit it all. I've been like riding my bike like 11 miles a day. Like, I'm just like
I see that.
freaking
I
out,
need
man.
to. Yeah, I need to quit smoking cigarettes for sure.
It's hard, dude. It's one of the hardest things I ever
Man.
did in my entire life, man. Like it's so
Yeah.
hard. Like it's just I think the thing that helped me out a lot was, and a lot of people may not agree with me on it, but vaping literally saved my life. Like vaping saved my life because I tried the gum, I tried those, the patches, I did all that stuff. But I did my research and I found out how to make my own vape juice, and I was able to control how much nicotine I had, because you can't go buy it with like, you can go, I think, between a 3 milligram and like a 0. So there's no in between. Yeah. So I was regulating myself. I went from like a 3 to a 2.5 to like, down to a 1, and it made it super easy, and it was really affordable. Like it wasn't expensive to do. So but being able to do that, it helped, man. So yeah.
Those things murder my lungs. The vapes, they do. They choke. I don't know what it is about them, but they like kill me. Like I don't know. Like my lungs just. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Could be, and then that's one reason I stopped doing it in the first place when I first started, because I was doing it wrong. And it's different for everybody. Like you got to make it to where it's good for you, where it might be too strong for someone. It could be not strong enough for another person, and it can make you cough and make your lungs hurt. If you're not doing it properly, if you're not wicking it, sometimes you can burn the cotton and it can, it hurts your lungs. So yeah, there's a lot of factors in it. You got to do your research for sure. If you want the best out of it. So yeah, that's a crazy thing to do. It's hard thing to quit,
it is. So. I'm smoking right now. I'm pitiful.
No, you're not, man. It's tough.
I'm highly addicted to them too. And like, I don't know, I smoke even more now with everybody fucking dying on me. Like,
yeah.
All the traumatic, my friend Zach, Ray, Crystal, Bones. It's like all these people.
Yep.
All in a row too, man.
Yep.
My son, that one really fucked me up.
Yeah. I can only imagine, man. I can only imagine how that would feel. Yeah, it's been tough, man. It's been a tough road for sure. So do you have like a creative process when you're writing music? Is there like one thing that you stick to always, or is it just different? Is there like a thing, something that you stick with in a process when you're writing new music?
No, usually I'll just pick up my guitar and play, and if I play something that sounds cool, I'll record it on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And like I always have like all kinds of riffs on my phone all the time. But then other times, if I'm in a room with somebody, other times it'll just like a whole song will just come out.
Yeah.
And then other times we'll have like a half a song, and I'm like, man, I got this riff on my phone. I know it'll go with that. And that's kind of how I do it.
Okay.
But usually if I make a riff, I can usually hear the drums, words, everything all in my head while I'm playing it. Because I used to have like an MC909 beat machine.
Okay.
And I used to like program drums on that to write songs with. So I don't know, I've kind of learned to hear everything together from using that machine for all those years.
That's awesome.
I've got really good playing to a click track using that machine for a long time, because that click track will really fuck up a good musician if they've never played the one.
Yeah.
Like when you go to record, they're like, "Damn, dude!" Like, man, that's
Right.
so different.
Yep, it is, and that's one thing that I always try to tell everyone. I'm like, you want to get better, play to a click, like it'll help you internally, and I know people are totally against it. They're like, well, you don't feel it, and you're not, and I'm like, I'm not asking you to do it live. It's just a way to practice, so.
Yeah, I will agree. Like, there's some stuff, like when I was recording, there's like on the new Long Pig album, there's a song called Me, Myself, the Demon. And the intro to that song was recorded without a click track because we couldn't find one that would line up with that riff. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to like do that on the fly. And so yeah, I mean, and sometimes you'll play to a click and it does kind of take the soul out of the riff, because you can't, if you slow it down, then it's too slow. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't happen too often, but it does happen. I've noticed that it does take the soul out of it sometimes.
Right.
And like I
Right.
said, you're like, well, let's slow it down, and then you're like, well, now it feels like it's too slow. I can't explain it, but it's weird. But most of the time it's pretty straightforward. It's like math; everything lines up.
Right.
But it does get weird sometimes like that. I've
Right.
noticed.
Well, and I feel you on that big time, especially when I was with Lowlife. We used to just write for filling. So there'd be times, not necessarily time changes, but we would go into a verse from a chorus and then back into the verse, and that next time would be slower, but it would be it would be a filling. It wouldn't be like, you couldn't count it out. It would literally be like, here it is. You know what I mean? And that's something you can't do on a click, and it became so difficult to try to record that because it became a filling, you know what I mean? And it was just, we loved the live aspect, I guess you could say, so much that we didn't want to take away from it. But yeah, I totally see what you're saying about that. It's
you can we have one or two songs that we did in Will Grim Brown. It's exactly what you just said.
mm-hmm.
Like it's a riff, but then it like changes for two measures, but it's still this. And then those two changes, it slows down a little bit. But Jeremy was able to figure that out and slow that down for just those two, and then back up. It was weird.
Yeah.
But I didn't even notice it did that. Andy was like, "Hey, that part is a little bit slower," and I was like, "Yeah, you're right. It is."
That's awesome. Yeah, I totally feel that. Sometimes you just got to have that, man. I don't know. I noticed that with a lot of bands in our I guess you could say in our period of time when we were like, I don't know, I was looking early 90s, late 90s, all those type of bands, even locally. I would see a lot of this influenced in that way. That groove is just awesome. Like, I don't know. I can't describe how many bands we've had local in Oklahoma City that were just awesome. Like, just so good. It just, I miss it.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it back in the day without that. Must have been exhausting, playing it over and over and over, trying to get it like perfect.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Like I went to Bell Labs one time and we did recording with Trent Bell, and he actually had a reel-to-reel, and I was working at Mars Music at the time, and so I bought the tape for it. And that tape isn't cheap. It was pretty expensive. But I was all like, when am I ever going to be able to record on a reel-to-reel ever again? I'm like, let's do this. And it's different, but you have to get those, you got to nail those takes, dude. It's so crazy. Like, it was no digital
I recorded
format.
there once. A long time ago. 6 Years Dead did 3 songs there. He's a cool dude too. He only charged $800 for them 3 songs.
Trent's great, man. I mean,
yeah, he was cool.
He helped, didn't he? He recorded Flaming Lips, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, they won Grammys.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, like, when we were there, he was telling us, Rose McGowan and I think it was Marilyn Manson. They were dating at the time, maybe. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But he was like, yeah, they're coming this weekend because she did music at the time, and I was like, well, that's a trip. And I guess he does a lot of stuff for Toby Keith is up there a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe to do the commercials that he did. I don't know.
Who knows?
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't talked to Trent in a while, actually. I need to touch base with him just to talk
Yeah.
to him.
He's
It's been a
still over there
long
in
time.
Norman.
Yeah.
He's still over there.
Wow. That's awesome. Didn't you I don't know. I'm trying to think of I'm remembering some things. Didn't you guys have an opportunity to go record at Al Jorgensen's studio at one point?
Man, I've had so many opportunities when I was young and dumb, and just should have took those chances and said fuck it, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those are those things you're like, oh man. Yeah, he told us, and the thing was like $800 a day, but they had like room and board. It's like a huge ranch in El Paso.
Yeah.
Swimming
ATVs,
pool,
all that stuff.
ATVs, everything. He's like,
Yeah.
we'll feed you. You don't have to bring any equipment. We have every kind of guitar, amp, drums. Yeah, we should have went.
Wow.
Should have went. Should have. Would have. Could have.
Right. I remember you talking to me about that one point in time.
Yeah, Sonic Ranch.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Wow.
I know.
And it's small world because I ended up actually getting to know those guys, you know, Al and everybody. And I never brought it up, but I was always like, man, I wanted to ask Al, hey, do you remember a band called, you know, like, and talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Because I remember him describing his place that he had. And I was like, I know somebody that was going to come record there, you know?
Yeah. I can't remember the guy's name we were talking to. It was the engineer, I believe, is who it was. I can't remember his name, but and then back in the 90s when I was in that death metal band, we had an opportunity to play like a showcase in New York, and it was I think it was Incantation, Internal Bleeding, I think Suffocation, and it would have been us, and they signed every band on that showcase. Yeah, so who knows what would have happened if, I mean, we were like 18 years old, you know. Back then we were like pawning our guitar heads for $30 to get some weed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back in them days. I mean, we'd always get it back, but we definitely were just young, dumb kids just playing music and having fun. But
yeah,
that was another one we should have went and done.
I think at the end of the day, we've all kind of been there, you know, but there's certain opportunities that, you know, I mean, there's multiple opportunities for so many people, man, that were here at that time. Like, and I knew you guys had your opportunities. I know Jimmy's in here right now, I believe, Jimmy Johnson. I know Jimmy and them had their opportunities a ton of times with Element, you know, like we were talking with Bino from Streetwise that was you know, putting together bands like Slipknot and Disturbed and all kinds of people. We were like on their what would you call their street team. We'd pass out like compilations and stuff, and then down the road they started being like, so, you know, you guys have your band, and we're like, yeah, you know, and we were made dumb decisions, you know. So I know that feeling.
Yeah, money.
Yeah,
it's always about money, man. It's always money. Because I mean, now that you know, you're like, you know, if you have money, any band, if you have the money, you can almost buy your way onto fucking anything nowadays. But
pretty much. Yeah,
I ain't got no money. My family ain't got no money. We're just hard working. I don't even care about that anymore, to be honest. It's funner to not stress over it, you know.
That was some of the things that was really humbling to me, you know. And I was talking about this last week to Jason Todd. It's like, there's a lot of snakes in the grass too in the industry. Like there's a lot of people that try to like take things from you. They'll promise you stuff, and then on top of that, you'll just get, they take advantage of a lot of musicians. It's pretty messed up. And I don't know, like a lot of snakes. There's good people too, but there's a lot of snakes in the grass too.
There is. I hate Battle of the Bands. Don't even ask me to be on no shit like that, any contests or
Right.
like I hate those because I don't know. I've just been drug over the coals a few times over that. They come in and charge you all this money to be in this thing, and then promise you all this shit, and then it comes down like Emergenza was one of them. I remember we played on that back in the day, and Travis Stewart won best guitar player and out of the whole thing for Oklahoma, and he didn't get it. He didn't get nothing. They were supposed to mail him like a guitar and all this other shit. He never got any of that. And then Project Independent, ooh, yeah,
Wow.
they got us real good. I don't know if you remember that whole fiasco, but
I think I do. Yeah, I think there's been a few of them. It's just in general, like, and I'm not even talking even local, like local too, but just even touring, man, like, and I'm not going to name bands that I know that I've worked with and things like that, but there's just like so many like bad management and people that try to take advantage of bands, and promise them so much stuff, and then they end up those bands end up having to pay out of their own pocket, dude. You know what I mean? To like, to fix the problem for them to keep going and touring, and they were like promised, so much stuff for them to keep going. It's like so messed up, man. Like it's just like, and it's multiple times. And that, I think at the end of the day, Jason, I like being a tech and like being a stage manager and everything. After seeing how much bands go through and how much they put up with, I'm like, dude, I'm kind of glad I got to like be the technician and stage manager and not have all these worries. And
yeah, right.
And still get to see the world and do these things. And like, so, cause my hat goes off to any band, any person that's quote unquote made it and have gone out to tour, dude, hat off to them, because it's not easy. It's hard. It's really hard, because you're dealing with so many aspects. It's just, it's crazy.
We went and played the Seattle Hemp Fest. That was the first, it was like a 30-hour drive.
Yeah.
And we planned, we were like, all right, on the way back, we're going to do the whole KOA, stay in the KOAs and natural forest, all the cool places. Everything that had to do with Long Pig was a fucking nightmare, that whole trip. Damn. Outside of that, it was awesome. Like everything else outside of that was awesome. But yeah, I know what you mean, dude. It's when you get 5 guys driving 30 hours across the country, all crammed in a fucking car, and some of them show up with no money at all after you had 5 months to plan for it. It was a fucking shit show.
Like when I was with Bleed the Sky, we weren't making a ton of money. I was literally making probably like $20 a week. Yeah. And the guys in the band were making even less than me. And so like, I'm like buying food for people in the band, and there's like 9 dudes in a van. So like Greg,
for everybody.
Exactly. Ramen noodles. Let's go.
Yeah. Shit.
And, Ryan and Greg, they were both there. Like, they'd help us out all the time. They were always there. Like, it was just awesome. So you guys rule, dude. You guys always are family in my book, and you guys are to this day still like hanging out. It's so awesome. We were talking earlier about like musicians that inspired you. One of them, the band Motley Crew. What qualities did you admire about Motley Crew?
I mean, they were the ones that opened my mind or opened my eyes. Like, I distinctly remember watching that video being, I don't know, 12 years old.
Mhm.
And I was like, I want to do that. And it just, I don't know. I went and got a guitar and learned. I don't know. I was like obsessed with wanting to do that.
Right.
And I'm still that way today. I mean,
Are there
uh,
any like specific musicians at this point in time that inspire you?
Peter Steele, it's like that's the one I miss the most that died. But him, Max Cavalera, uh, oh man, I'm weird, Luke. Like I, I don't even hardly listen to, which is probably not a good thing, but I'm stuck on like old. I'm not tired of old music. Like it's hard for me to listen to new stuff and you know to give it a chance because I'm still stuck on like Nuclear Assault Survive, dude. I listen to that album all the time. Dead Horse, uh, man, just Typo. I like bands that are unique that nobody sounds like, and that's what was so cool about when we were coming up. Yeah, Metallica, Exodus, Slayer, all these bands that were great, and none of them sounded like each other. Now it seems like one good band will emerge, and then there's like 200 bands trying to sound like that band. So it's hard for me to get into anything new. And don't get me wrong, there are bands that are fucking killer. And usually when I see them live, that's when I'm like, okay, like Lamb of God was one of them. Never heard their name for years. Never tried to listen to them. Took my kid to see the Slipknot show at the fair with their Shadows Fall and Lamb of God. That was the first time I'd ever seen them and seen Lamb of God, and I was like, oh my God, these guys are fucking killer. You know, been listening to them ever since, but I'm mostly influenced by old thrash, like the old stuff.
Right, right. I
Power
feel that.
Mad. Like,
I feel that. It's kind of an oversaturated market now compared
it
to like
is.
what we used to be with because social media, and any
Hmm.
any kid that has a laptop can download some kind of recording program and then bam, they can record an album and then in their room and then they put up their band name and the next thing you know there's like 50 bands playing at this one venue. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it's crazy, dude. It's
it
there's
is.
so many
I've said it for
people.
years. The internet ruined a lot of things, man. Music, movies, dating.
Yeah.
I mean, it has. It's
It never it did.
necessary evil, I guess.
Yeah, it took the mystery out of things, you know?
It
Cuz
did. Like
cuz
just the flyers. No one does paper hand tickets anymore.
right?
I do,
Yeah.
but nobody. Man, I used to take flyers and wrap them around free CDs of whatever band I was in because you could. I remember you used to get 100 CDs for like $10,
Yeah.
and I would burn like three songs, three 6 Years Dead songs on it. Wrap the flyer around it and glue it together and hand those out. No one's going to throw those down, or they didn't
No.
back then.
Yeah.
And man, that shit worked, dude.
We
So it
used
worked really well.
we used to go to like Denny's and all those places late at night and we'd go and like grab those huge stacks of gazettes and just like mash like our flyers and all the gazettes and then
Yeah.
put them back in the basket. Yeah, those were good times, man. I remember there's so many good times just going out and passing out flyers, just being in front of people. Like we used to have mailing lists, people would sign up on them and put their phone numbers down
Yeah.
and we'd actually sit there and call everybody for shows.
Yeah. Or guys would sit there and hand make a magazine out of, a typewriter and put one of those out once a week. Like you remember Baxter's fanzine back in the day?
Yeah. Yep.
I still have one. Kurt, this friend of mine, Kurt, he actually gave me one of those not long ago, and I'd forgot all about that. I was like, damn, and it actually had intestinal disorder in it. That's why he brought it and gave it to me. I was like, this is fucking awesome. Yeah, back then, man, it's so strange because we have everything we need to get people to come watch your band or whatever. And it's like, it was better back then when you just would hand out flyers or tell people, and just, I don't know, more people would show. It's
It
weird.
just seemed
It's so strange.
it was more there was more impressionable. It felt more intimate. It was
Personal.
more yeah, I mean the interactions were, you know, one-on-one. It wasn't just like, hey, let me make this flyer and throw it on Facebook and cool, you know, there it is. You know what I mean? It's just it wasn't anything like that. You know, it was a hustle. You had to get out there, you had to talk to people, there was a lot to it more than it felt like. You know, now it's just like, cool, I got a digital flyer on a social media platform. Okay, I'm good. Everybody knows, you know, like it's crazy.
Yeah, everybody scroll past it.
Right.
It is weird. You have all these tools now that you would have killed to have back then. I don't know if they would even work back then, because look what it's done. I mean,
right.
You're right. Like the new Long Pig album, everyone's like, why don't you put it on all? And I'm like, because I don't want to give my shit away. Yeah,
Right.
it gets out there to a lot more people, and it does, but you're getting screwed on the back end of that. And I don't know, man.
Speaking of that,
like I said, I'm not in it for the money or anything like that. So if you want it, hit me up and I will mail it to you, or
right.
I may put it on some streaming things later on, but I'm just not with getting a fraction of a penny off of, you know, it's weird. I don't see how they get away with that. To me, that's theft.
It was really cool when I saw you last, and I think I was at the Blue Note, and you handed me a tape, and I was like, what's a cassette tape? And it's like, not a cassette tape, but you fold it out and it's got like a little, it's a drive that you can plug in, you know, that was kind of cool.
I got so many people with that. Yeah. I got so many, but they're like, what am I going to do with this? And I'll pull that little deal out. They're like, okay.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I have mine for sure. It was awesome. I've never had anything like that. It's cool.
Those things are expensive, man. It's like $400 for 50 of them.
So, do you have a favorite venue that you've performed in?
The Diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all. I love playing there. I like playing the Blue Note too.
What would be your favorite performance in your career so far? Do you have a favorite one that comes to mind?
This recent one, opening for DRI.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because we played with Sepultura and a Sacred Right and Crowbar on a Thursday, and then that next night, Friday, 89th, we played with DRI. And it was just one of those nights where you could just feel the energy in the air, dude. There was a fucking stupid mosh pit to every local band and DRI. It was just an awesome night.
Nice.
And like me, I'm weird. Like, of course, I'd love to play in front of, you know, thousands and thousands of people, but I like those up close and personal shows where everyone's crammed in there in a little venue and just fucking going nuts. I'll take them shows over an arena show any day. I just love the energy of that, and it's just real. It just feels real. You feel connected to the crowd.
Those intimate shows, man, they're something else, that's for sure. They're definitely I don't know. Definitely more passion there that way. I hate to say it that way, but it just feels like there's just so much more energy, you know, in those rooms.
Yeah, I mean, and DRI, dude, they've been doing it for fucking over 30 years, and they still do just fucking, oh, dude, they were awesome. And then Kirk stands back there at the shirt booth sells merch all night.
Yeah.
It's just cool. You know what I mean? You want your shirt signed, he's standing right there, you know. Yeah. And it was cool because there was a lot of kids there, dude. So the parenting, whoever, you know, these people parenting these kids, they're doing a damn good job, because there was a lot of kids there.
That's
for
awesome.
That DRI show. You know, and you gotta be taught about that band. That's not just, you know, they're pretty underground. They always have been. So
right. Serving that next generation, man. Keep that flag, keep that torch passed. You know what I mean? describe your worst performance and what did you learn from this experience?
I haven't had too many bad ones, but that Seattle trip and playing the Hemp Fest, that shit was so disorganized. And I don't get me, I don't want to sound ungrateful because it was awesome to get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
But man, it was like we got there. Bones has a trailer on his truck. We get there and they tell us that we can't park there. We're like, okay, well, where are we supposed to unload our gear? And they're like, oh, in this tent, in this random fucking tent, and that's a quarter mile away from the stage.
Oh,
And
wow.
you know, we're in Seattle. It's like we're not leaving this fucking tent, dude. All of our gear's in there. You know, it's that type of
Right.
vibe. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it'll be all right. Like, yeah, that's what everyone says, and then all their shit's stolen. You know, like, so
Yeah.
we had to hang out by this tent all day, and man, it was just, I don't know, it was stressful. It was,
Yeah.
I was not having a good time. That's for sure. None of us were.
What qualities do you think make a great musician? Are there certain qualities?
Good heart, like yourself, like a lot of people that I know, just having a good heart and good intentions. You know, just in life in general. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. I mean, you don't take me long. Like if I start playing with somebody that I've never played with, I'll have them figured out in a week or two, and
Right.
I'll know like this ain't gonna work out. You know, he just has an ego, or he's got this or that, or he, you know, a lot of people have lying problems. You know, they make
Yeah.
shit up all the time just because I don't know why they do it. It's fucking blows my mind though. I've been around a lot of people like that. It's like, man, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say a good heart, good intentions, and just being a good person, dude. I mean, you
Right on.
can't go wrong in anything if you have those qualities.
Right. And I agree with that. And also, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
you've always been like your posts. I'm like, man, this guy's always in a you just always in a good mood, always putting out good, you know, just the vibe you have in person, online, just you're just and everyone would agree with me, dude. You're just that guy that's like,
Thanks,
yeah, he's
man.
right, you know.
I
Yeah.
I try, I have my inner demons, and I don't show them too much, but at the same time, I think I do it not just for everyone, but for myself too. Like, I think it's one of those things where, like, if you're having a bad day, write something good, and once you see it and you say it and you hear it, it kind of helps change that mode. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, I don't know. I always want to try to share that with people. I want to always, I don't know. I always want to try to be a positive person the best I can, and I
Yeah.
just, I thrive. I try to thrive for that. But man, don't get me wrong. There's days where I'm just like, yeah, my mom told me if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And too, I've learned over the years, just getting older, and when you let yourself get in a bad mood, to me, it just seems like shit just snowballs from there and it just
yeah,
gets worse and worse.
yeah,
So you're like,
yeah.
all right, man, I'm just going to shut the fuck up, go sit over in this corner for a minute. I do that at work all the time. I have it figured out. I'm like, if I'm at work and something is just fucking frustrating me, I'll go outside and walk away from it.
Yeah,
And it works because then I'll come back and shit'll go right together like it should. I'm like,
right,
yeah, I was just letting myself get worked up, man, and it ain't gonna fly like that. It just ain't.
right. Yeah, sometimes you do just got to walk away. Um,
Hmm.
have you ever taught anyone how to play an instrument?
My daughter and my son, I taught him how to play guitar. Uh, yeah,
You did? Okay.
yeah. My daughter, she played cello, and I remember having to learn her songs and on her cello and teach them to her,
Okay.
which was kind of weird because I never played with a bow. It was kind of like bass though, so
Right.
it wasn't too bad.
I'm sure that was a cool experience though, you know.
Oh yeah.
What's the best piece of advice another musician ever gave you?
Probably the bass player for God forbid. He was pretty much just like what I said just now, just because that's what he was saying, on touring, dude. You meet so many fucking fly by night people, and it's just such a wild ride. You just got to learn to keep yourself grounded, because I imagine that is weird. You're around people you don't know all the time, and you just never know, what people's are intentions are. Like everybody, oh, you can stay at our house, or whatever it is. I imagine that gets pretty strange. Everyone's trying to give you everything all the time, and he'd said, we have to distance ourselves, because that's when shit goes wrong sometimes,
That's true.
and I could see that,
That's true. Yeah. You got to be careful about some of those things. Jason's got some natural sunset mood lighting going on.
I know. I'm right. There's a bunch of Christmas lights and shit around me. I'm at the North Pole thing.
I was kind of telling myself here a second, I was like, man, I'm gonna have to finish this up before you're just totally can't see you anymore. Do you have any do you follow a process or ritual before a performance to get rid of nerves or performance anxiety? Or do you get anxiety at all when you go up on stage?
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Never. I never have, dude. I've never. No, I don't ever get nervous. Any of
Okay.
that. A lot
Do
of
you ever?
people I play with, they'll have to take a shot or
Oh yeah, yeah,
drink a
yeah.
few beers before it to calm their nerves. But yeah, I don't ever. I'm usually ready to go.
What would you do if you made a mistake during a performance? Is there something that you would do?
Make the whole band stop. No, I'm just playing. Everybody stop. No, no. I just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're sometimes I'll like there's like one intro on the new Long Pig,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot play it live, dude. I fuck it up every time, and it's one of those acoustical intros, so it's just me.
Okay.
That one kind of bothers me like so bad, where I'm like, I think I'm gonna make Eric start playing that part. 'Cause, and I wrote it. It's weird. It's like, yeah, way to go. Write some stuff you can't even play.
Do you shuffle that song around in the set? Like, there's some that I talk to, they'll be like, we'll put it in the front of the set and just get it over with, because it's one of those songs they'll either screw up or they'll just put it in last, so that way like the whole set they're fine, and then they just have to worry about the last song that they play. Did you ever
And
switch it around?
no, I just know it's there the whole time. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Here we go.
What is a question you wished I would have asked, and how would you have answered?
Man, I wouldn't even know, Jerry. Be
Yeah.
honest with you. Yeah, I'll probably think of 10 afterwards, but
Yeah, I always, the other day when I was talking to Jason Todd, he's like, you didn't really ask me anything about family, because family is like a big important thing, because you're going home to that afterwards, and they're also influencing with your music and everything. You know what I mean? So having a supportive group, whether it be a wife or girlfriend or someone, because you're going to be gone a lot. You're spending a lot of time with your bros. You're writing music. You're trying to record stuff, you're playing shows. It takes a lot of, like you said earlier, it's like being married, to the band in a sense. So like having a good support system, like someone that's in your life, whether it be a wife or girlfriend or whatnot, that's pretty important as well, so
yeah. Yeah, my family, shit, half of them play music with me, or my brother does, and
yeah.
my family's always been real supportive, and they always have been.
Yeah.
So I couldn't ask for a better support system.
How can people check out the music that you've done in your projects? You know, you guys have obviously you're talking about those things that you had pass out some of those music things with the Long Pig. Are you guys on Spotify or any of those areas people can come check them out? Or
the first Long Pig's on there, but this newest one you have to buy from me.
Okay.
But just message me, and if you they're $10. The CDs are, if I mail them, I've mailed quite a few of them. It's like $6 for me to mail it.
Okay.
Unless you're like way far away. But yeah, just hit me up, man, and I want to put it on YouTube soon. I just haven't done it yet, like the whole album, so you can at least like go listen to it.
Right.
But I haven't got around to doing that yet. I'm still kind of waiting. And then the Will Grimm Brown will be out real soon too, and I'll have that for sale. That one's going to be more different approach, because that band was never really put together to make money.
Right.
Because it's about William, you know, it's a tribute to him, so it's not. But that stuff I'll probably put on streaming platforms and do some lyric videos, and we're gonna do the same for a few Long Pig songs here in the near future. So, but yeah, just hit me up, man, and I'll mail it to you or meet you somewhere and sell it to you, or whatever we got to do to make it happen.
Is there any other closing things or statements? Anything you'd like to add before we end the video?
Don't give up.
Okay.
That's what I'd say. No matter what you're doing, don't give up.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day and being able to hang out and do this interview with me. I appreciate it so much. And we kind of jumped around on the dates there a couple times, you know. Yeah. So I appreciate you working with me on that. It's very, very appreciated. So
I appreciate you too, brother.
Right on, man. Well, that's the end of that video, and I appreciate you sticking around and checking out this interview for its entirety with Jason Voth. And Jason, if you're watching, big shout out. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to be on my show. It's very much appreciated. And last but not least, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for your continued support. Please give the video a like. If you guys want, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It helps out the algorithm big time. It would help me out so much. So please subscribe, like the video. If you want to, hit that bell notification. It'll give you notifications anytime I upload a new video. And if you're feeling frisky, head on over to my Facebook. Make sure you hit that follow. Again, it helps so much. And you'll be notified anytime I do these live interviews, and you can interact and ask questions. So anyways, I thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are doing well. Take care of each other. See ya.